Hi guys, afternoon. I'm going to show you how to change the front brake pads on a C230. How you know the brake pads are out. That's the error code that's going to tell you that your brakes are out. Brakeware visit workshop. So I'm going to show you how to change the brake pads. Now, right. So to do this, you're going to need the brake pads. Brake pads come with a sensor. Brake sensor, your brake pads. You're going to need a number 12 spanner, right? This is to undo the caliper. Number 12 spanner. You need your lug nut spanner, your jack. That's it. But of course, you can have extras. Of course, you would need a G clamp. This is to push the brake piston, but it's not necessary to have that. But if you have one in handy, if you have one lying around, it will come in handy. You need a wire that you're going to design like that. I'll explain in a minute what this will do. It's going to help me hold the caliper in place so it doesn't shake. It's not important, but I'd advise you have it. You need your safety jack stand, and if you have pneumatic tools, of course, your torque wrench as well. And of course, to keep the car from rolling, you will need something to just hold the car from rolling. You can use a brick though. Alright, let's do it. Alright, let's start. I'm gonna turn the wheel to the other side so you can see the caliper properly. Okay, I should have started the car, but that's fine. And let's do this. Now this is a part where if you don't have a jack stand, you can just throw the wheel under the car. What we're going to be focusing on is this. Alright, this is where your brake pad is. That's the brake pad that's worn out. And then let's put this over here. Now the first thing you need to do is pull out this cable here. This is to your brake sensor. You have to do this first, because if you don't, when you pull out the caliper, you tear the cable off. Sometimes your brake sensor isn't completely out. There's a brake sensor, right? I'm gonna change this anyway. So what's next is your number 12 spanner. You're gonna undo two bolts. Né? The bolts that are holding the caliper is this one and this one here. That's what holds the caliper in place. We undo those two bolts. You don't have to use a lot of force for that, because they just hold the caliper in place. All right, and then you're gonna pull out the bottom one. Some of the brake pads come with new bolts like that. I mean, okay, so this looked pretty good. So there's no need to change your screws as well. Now what you're going to do, you need to be careful about something. Let me take you through this. There's a cable, an electric cable. This is for your ABS, né? Comes into the wheel, and then there's a brake sensor cable, goes all around there, comes to your brake sensor, and then there's your brake fluid pipe here. This is what holds the high pressure brake fluid from the brake cylinder. Caliper bolts. There's two things. What you need to be careful of is the brake sensor cable, because we need to pull this back, so you could strain it a bit there. So you can undo the bleeding nipple here. Just move the cable over so you don't strain it, and then shift the caliper back like so. Right? Now remember, this goes in place there. The brake piston pushes out, squeezing these two things. These are brake pads, squeezing them, and that holds, that squeezes or causes friction on the brake disc, right? Now the brakes are not completely out, but I think it's the left sensor that's causing a complaint, because they're pretty much okay, but I'll replace them anyway. All right, there's another one. All right, now see, I'm holding on to this caliper, and it's got your brake sensor cable and the brake pressure hose there. This is where my wire comes in, so I'm gonna hook this up, right, and then just hang it on the anywhere on maybe the spring here. This is just to help this from hanging by the cables. All right, so you got your brake disc here, and replacing the brake pads, it's as easy as pulling them out. You just get my brake. All right, let's put that still there. All right. Oh, all right. So here are the brake pads, right? And remember, I said they throw in some new nuts there, bolts, to help you with the caliper. All right, so I'm gonna open this. I've got 4 bolts there. Right, these are your brake pads, and you've got the other 2. What I want you to pay attention to is that because a brake sensor has to come all the way in there, there's a little hole there, right, and another hole. This one has no hole, so this one with the hole, without the hole, goes on the inner side. So don't just throw them anywhere. Remember, this goes in here, all right, and then push in. All right, the one with the hole comes there we go, and your brake pads are in place. All right, and then your piston is gonna press on here, and your brake sensor is gonna hook here. If you pay attention, that this part here is not on the inner brake pad, so this one has to come on the outer side. All right, now because the brake pads, the old brake pads, were running out, the piston was moving with them. As it runs out, it pushes further in. If you put the piston back here now, it will not fit, because these ones are full, right? So you need to find a way to push back the piston. This is why I use a G-clamp, but you can use a screwdriver, any tool that can help you with that. So what we need to do now, I hope I'm still within frame. I'm gonna put my what do you call this? My G-clamp. This way would be to just throw it in there. Just there you go. All right, there we go. I hope you can still see this. As I squeeze, it pushes them back, right? As I squeeze here, it moves back. See that? This is to allow the new pads to fit. I think that should be enough. All right, I'm gonna remove my G-clamp. All right. The next thing to do, take my funny wire there, remove it, bring the caliper back here, and push it back. All right. Now pay attention to where the brake caliper holds. This moves back. You see that? Push it back so it fits like that. Same thing with the bottom one. There we go. And then the caliper is back in place. Take your new bolts, run them in there. And that's it. You've changed your brake pads. All right. Your tensioning spec says about 10 to 20 Newton meters, but don't fight with it. Don't fight with it. Some would go 35, but don't fight them. Nothing. This is just to hold the caliper. All right, and then we're going to take this cable back here. In fact, let's bring the nipple holder this side and cover the bleed valve, and then take your brake sensor all right, this is your brake sensor. All right, it's gonna go in there. Right, and then this part goes into the little hole I showed you earlier, and then you push it like so. Did I get it right? Yep, I did. There we go. All right, now be careful. I once made this mistake of pushing this wire all in to a point that it was touching the brake disc, and the brake disc cut it. So just leave it just like that, but not all the way in. Right, so what happens is that, where's the old one? Here we go. All right, what happens is that when your brakes run out, right, this part, there's a signal sent in here, creates contact in there, just a signal going through and back. Right, now when your brake pads run out, they eat on that, break it, or cut the circuit. Right, break the circuit, and then the ECU reports a problem. That's it. And then from here, do everything. Put the wheel back. So just to recap, right, you're gonna undo your wheel, turn the wheel a little bit so you can have working space here. With your number 12, you're going to undo 2 bolts, calipers, this bolt and that one over there, and then that will allow the caliper to move back. But before you pull the caliper back, just make sure you remove the sensor. Pull it that way, pull it back. If it's okay with you, just be careful, be very careful that when you pull the caliper back, you don't mess up the sensor cable, right? And then from there, find something to hang, or you could put the caliper on top of something. Just don't let it hang by the cables. And then from there, change your brake pads. This little zincs here, sometimes, you know, on cars that don't have brake sensors, this is your sensor, so to speak, because when this runs out, it starts creating a squeaky sound on the disc, going swee, and then you know your brakes are out. Right, so yeah, that's about it. What I'm going to do now, put the wheel back and then do the other one. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe.